Hey there, YouTube. This is a response to Boardwalk. If you haven't seen his video yet, don't watch this one until you watch that one. Boardwalk Piper, AC, NJ. Video titled something along the lines of a discussion about the Alabama abortion debate, ban, something like that. I encourage you to watch his video all the way through, listen to what he has to say, and then I hope you watch this video and listen to what I have to say. And then I hope you either form an opinion based on your own research and beliefs and feelings and ideologies or whatever, or that the opinion that you currently hold can be backed up by those things. What I'm saying is, don't listen to me or don't listen to him. Make your own opinion. Form your own opinion. So Boardwalk said a number of things, and then towards the end of his video, he made a statement along the lines of, and again, Boardwalk, if I say something that's not what you said, if I misquote you, or I say something that's not, you feel fair, let me know. I'll go back and look at it and clarify it. Something along the lines of, none of this stuff that I've said, you can't prove it wrong. There are a number of things in there that I think are demonstrably inaccurate. One of them was the idea that men are somehow controlling women by passing laws like this, somehow preventing women from making choices over their own body. Well, a good portion of the legislature of both those states, Alabama and Georgia, are female. Not 50-50, but a good portion. And a good portion are Democrat, and a good portion are Republican. Alabama's governor is female. All 9 Supreme Court justices in the Roe v. Wade decision, which I believe went 7-2, all 9 were male. If you look at the demographics of pro-life versus pro-choice, it's almost split right down the middle. Pro-life, 52% men. I don't remember the exact numbers, but it's almost split right down the middle, 50-50, 52-48, something like that. Men versus women. Same thing in pro-choice, 52 women, whatever. The only real difference in those demographics occur across political lines, which jumps up to around 70-20, with 10% not knowing what the hell they believe. And that's on both sides. So 70% of Democrats are liberals, are pro-choice. 30 or 20-10, however you want to look at that other number, are not. And the only other real division occurs across age. The younger you are, the more likely you're going to be pro-choice. The older you are, the more likely you're going to be pro-life. But even then, those splits don't occur at a rate that they do across political lines. So the idea that it's a man controlling women thing doesn't sit with me. I don't think that's an accurate representation or portrayal of what's happening. Then you mentioned something about if you're of the opposite opinion, don't come at me with the Muslim thing about how they control their women, etc. I think that's kind of an odd argument. Some things about the Muslim faith, they draw their opinions on abortion from the Hadith. They hold that through 80 days, so 2.5 months, that whatever you want to call it inside a woman's body is a blood clot. And then at 81 days, this blood clot turns into a fetus. So their science is not quite the same as the rest of the world in that respect. So there's that. 18 of the 47 Muslim majority countries, 18 of 47. That's a third, roughly. Do not allow abortion under any circumstances. 18 of 47. Beyond that, their views get mixed because of all the different sects and tenets that they follow. But some of the things that I read, they hold that the child of a rape is a legitimate child, not an illegitimate child, and is therefore afforded all the rights of any other child. Can't be aborted simply because you were raped. After that, I believe their general consensus is 20 or 16 weeks. 16 weeks. Before that, you can do anything you want. After that, restrictions start applying, except in the case of rape or incest. And if you want to, it's a completely different argument, but if you want to compare the way pro-life, pro-choice, men controlling women, that argument compares to the way Muslim ideology controls women. That's, I cannot see a comparison at all. I'm sorry. Women are property, by and large. I know there are people that disagree, and some people say, oh, that's only extremism and blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm only going by what their words say, by what's written in their writings. So if I'm wrong, they're wrong. And then you mentioned some facts about the laws. I don't mean this in the way it comes off, but have you read the laws, the Georgia law and the Alabama law in its entirety? I'm curious if you have, because some of the things that you said are not in there. They're just not in there. One of them being prison sentences for women and things like that. Both laws specifically say the woman that seeks an abortion is not criminally responsible. It's the doctor that performs the abortion that's considered illegal. that is criminally responsible. Something else you talked about was the separation of with the whole religious aspect of it. You were pretty hard on religion, which is a difficult thing to respond to, because the idea that quote unquote religion has an influence over anything, over any law or whatever, is very difficult to quantify, because religion can be anything to any number of people. There's not a thing called religion as such. If you want to talk about Christianity or Protestantism or Catholicism, that's a different thing. But you were pretty hard on that in saying that it shouldn't have an influence. Well, if a person, I mean, you know my background, you know what I've talked about. If a person has a certain set of beliefs and they happen to become a senator or a governor or a president or whatever, how can they make any decision devoid of their core beliefs? It's not possible for a person to become a blank slate when a piece of legislation is put in front of them and say, you know, this is right, this is wrong. It's going to be based on something. It could be based on anything, but it's going to be based on something. Otherwise, it's a coin toss. And then you mentioned separation of church and state. I'm sure you've heard this argument before, but the phrase separation of church and state does not occur in the Constitution. The Establishment Clause deals with, I would try to quote it, but I would probably get it wrong. The government shall make no law respecting religion, or anyway, we can read that word for word. You said that was designed to keep the church out of the government. It was actually designed to protect the people from the government. It's very clear to me. The government disallowed itself from forming a state religion, a national religion, like the Church of England was primarily what they were trying to prevent. And it was also preventing the government from interfering in people's free exercise of the religion of their choice. Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin may not have been Christian, may not have been Catholic, may not have been Jewish, Muslim, whatever, but they said, if you are, go for it. You have that freedom. That's what the Establishment Clause was put in there for. A lot of people reference a letter that Thomas Jefferson wrote where he used the phrase, a hedge of separation between church and state. Oh, that's great. Supreme Court justices have even cited that letter. One of them said, this is almost authoritative language. Almost authoritative language. It was a private letter that Thomas Jefferson wrote to the Danbury Baptist Church as a response to a letter that they wrote to him with concerns about the government interfering with their religious acts. And in that letter, which Thomas Jefferson wrote the words separation of church and state, he confirmed their concerns and agreed with their concerns, shared their concerns, and ended the letter with a prayer back to them for everything that they said they prayed for him. That phrase has been taken out of context by the Supreme Court a number of times since then. That, along with the 14th Amendment and the Establishment Clause, not the Establishment Clause, lost my words, forgive me. The 14th Amendment has a clause in it, basically says people are equal, which the Declaration of Independence established originally, but that's been inserted and twisted and manipulated countless times over the years, and it means now, in case after case, this is kind of going off on a diatribe, I don't mean to do that. The 14th Amendment has been used to push anything and everything as being okay because it's everything is a person's right. We could debate that endlessly, and rightfully so, but as far as the Establishment Clause and the separation of church and state, that was different intent. And then I think you briefly touched on the reasons for abortion. Lightly, I think you mentioned something about rape or incest. I could be wrong. Statistically, the number of reported cases of abortions due to rape in the last reporting statistics I could find from the CDC, or that of reported cases, and the report, well, I'll say that afterwards, was 0.0001%, 1/10,000% of reported abortions were as a result of rape. If you read further down that list, you soon find out that less than 1% of all reasons other than choice was the reason given. Now, a person can go in for an abortion and say that they were the product of incest or rape or failed contraceptives, or they're psychologically damaged, or they can say whatever they want. None of this has to be proven. So it's possible that less cases are reported because of rape, and it's possible that far more weren't reported because of rape, because the girl maybe felt embarrassed or something about that fact. I'll give you that. That number is not static. Still, that's an extremely low number. Extremely low. So I'll finish this up by saying, whether you're pro-choice, pro-life, think that's a good law, bad law, whatever your opinion on all this is, don't if you agree with the things I've said, don't go attack him. Don't do that. That's not productive in any way, shape, or form. If you agree with his point of view on some of these things and you don't with mine, you want to challenge the statements that I've made, feel free. If you want to attack me or anybody else personally because of this, just don't, okay? Go figure things out for yourself. And Boardwalk, if you're still watching, this isn't intended as some sort of a I'm right, you're wrong thing. I want us to be clear when we have these kind of conversations about what we say, and I didn't feel like some of your statements were either accurate or clear. You may feel the same about mine, and that's okay. You know, that's why I made this video, because I didn't agree with some of the things you said. But I will tell you this: I don't care if you disagree with me, and I don't mean that facetiously, or I don't care that we have differing opinions. I do care about you. I do care about friendship, and I think we have that, and that's more important to me than differences we might have on issues and things like that. So I appreciate you, throwing that opportunity out there for somebody to come back, and not trying to shut people down and stuff like that. I've seen your comments, your rebuttals to the comments on your things, and they're all just basically thanks for your input, whether they agree with you or not. And I think that's a good thing. So anyway, there you have it. That's all I've got on this. I'm gonna upload it and fire it off into space and see what happens. Take care.